Listen. Pause whatever you're doing. Put the laundry down. Put the snack down. Put the phone in airplane mode for 9.5 minutes, because what I'm about to walk you through is hands down the wildest receipt-by-receipt celebrity meltdown of the entire month. And not a single one of those big gossip channels has connected the dots the way I'm about to connect them for you right now. We have a federal lawsuit. We have a husband as a decoy theory. We have a fake doctorate dropped on the same stage as Malcolm X and the notorious B.I.G., which sounds like a fever dream, but is actually a verifiable document. We have a chef texting a hair braider like she's the prosecutor in her own future civil case. And we have Vivica Fox out here giving a TED talk about aging while half the internet acts like time itself is a personal insult. All of it is connected. All of it is the same story told 4 different ways. And once I show you the through line, you will never be able to unsee it. You will start spotting it in every interview, every press release, every quiet little Instagram story that drops at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Here is the through line in one sentence, so you can screenshot it and quote tweet it later. Every single celebrity I'm about to talk about is hiding behind a shield. A husband, a diploma, a text thread, a camera angle. Different costumes, same play. So today on this channel we're calling it exactly what it is. The Great Celebrity Shield Game. Welcome to the deep dive nobody else had the nerve to write. Now, let's get into it, because the headline news, the thing that broke just hours ago, is a federal court filing dated May 6th, 2026. And it is not the kind of paperwork you recover from with a GoFundMe and a soft-launched podcast apology. Cardi B has officially sued Tasha K's husband. Yes, the husband. Cheick Ndikibe. The man who, up until last week, most of you only recognized as a quiet shape in the background of YouTube B-roll. He is now a co-defendant on a federal docket. And before anyone in the comments tries to say this is petty, I need you to understand something. This is not petty. This is choreography. This is the second act of a chess game that started in 2019, and Cardi just promoted her rook. Let me rewind for the people in the back, because the gap between Tasha K told some lies on the internet and Cardi B is now suing the woman's husband under federal fraud statutes is a 6-year tunnel, and a lot of you only saw the entrance and the exit. Back in 2019, Cardi filed a defamation case after Tasha aired allegations that were, to put it as politely as the courtroom will allow, completely fabricated. Drug use claims, the bumpy age claim, the prostitution claim. Trash. Garbage. Cardi swore on camera, in that voice that sits halfway between a laugh and a threat, that she was going to take that woman's money. People treated it like a joke. People stopped treating it like a joke in 2022 when a jury looked at the evidence and handed Cardi a verdict worth roughly $3.8 million. A jury. A panel of strangers. Not a podcast poll. Not an X post with 1,000 likes. A jury in a courthouse with a stenographer typing every word. Then came the Houdini Act. Tasha filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2023, and by early 2025, a court-approved repayment plan slashed the debt down to a much friendlier $1.2 million paid out over 5 years. The only conditions attached were extremely simple, almost insulting in their simplicity. Make your payments. Stop talking about Cardi. Stop talking about Cardi's family. 2 rules. A toddler could comply. A goldfish could comply. The literal cast of an unscripted reality show could comply, and those people are paid to start fights. Tasha could not comply. Tasha would not comply. Tasha violated that agreement more than 25 separate times, and I do not mean a vague mention buried in a 30-minute live stream. I mean repeated, deliberate, branded content built around the exact woman the court told her to stop discussing. The order itself, the one the judge signed, literally lists the platforms used during the violations. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Threads, a radio interview on The Morning Hustle. Baby, that is not a slip-up. That is a tour. A multi-platform, multi-state, monetized tour. And I refuse to believe anybody puts their entire bloodline financially on the line for free, so somebody was getting paid, and somebody is now about to get unpaid. And here is the part that even the bigger creators glossed over, the legal nugget I want you to write down because it matters more than the gossip does. The protective order, the one Tasha allegedly violated, was not a vibe. It was not a polite suggestion. It was not a strongly worded letter sliding into anybody's DMs. The judge spelled it out in plain language. Once that bankruptcy plan got confirmed on March 4th, 2025, the no-contact clause about Cardi B and her family became a binding court order. That means freedom of speech is no longer the conversation. The conversation is, very simply, did you obey the order or did you not? There is no third option. There is no nuance. There is no, I was just sharing my opinion. A violation, the court wrote, is complete the second the post hits the timeline. Deleting it later does not undo it any more than untoasting a slice of bread undoes breakfast. The family the order protected was not just Cardi and the kids. It covered Offset, it covered Stefan Diggs, it covered siblings, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, play cousins, +1 cousins, the kind of cousin you only see at funerals, all of them. The judge specifically named Offset and Stefan Diggs as protected parties in the order, which is a level of legal precision most defamation defendants never have to deal with. And Tasha treated that order like a recommendation. Like it was a TikTok trend you could opt out of. Like the judge had said, consider not talking instead of do not talk. Those are very different sentences. Only one of them ends in a contempt finding. So Cardi did what Cardi does. She went back to court. And the judge found Tasha K in civil contempt, told her to take all the content down, told her to shut up about every named protected person immediately, and ordered her to pay every single dollar of Cardi's legal fees for chasing her around the docket. 21 days for Cardi's attorneys to submit the exact dollar amount. 14 days for Tasha to object. 28 days after final approval to write the check. That is a hard timeline. Those numbers were not pulled out of a hat. Those numbers are the rope. Every deadline in a court order is a step on a staircase, and at the bottom of that staircase, when you miss one, is a contempt sanction that does not negotiate. And then, just when you think the judge was done handing out invoices, he turned and sanctioned Tasha K's own lawyers. Their brief contained citation errors so significant that Cardi's team had to file a corrective notice just to clean the record. The court hit the attorneys under Bankruptcy Rule 9011, which is the rule that basically says you cannot file legal arguments that have no basis in actual law. The penalty, 10% of whatever Cardi's final attorney fees come out to, paid directly to Cardi. Not to the Bar Association. Not to a charity. To Cardi. Same 28-day deadline. Imagine being the lawyer whose mistake means your client's nemesis collects a personal check from you. Imagine the team meeting after that filing. Imagine the silence. Imagine the email subject line. The number. Now, before the federal husband lawsuit dropped, Tasha tried something unbelievably brave, and by brave I mean reckless. She launched a GoFundMe. She told her audience the wine aunties would carry her over the finish line. She allegedly sat next to her husband with a calculator like, baby, all we need is 100,000 viewers, $40 a head. We'll close this gap by Easter. Nicki Minaj reportedly dropped into that GoFundMe, and even with the Barb Cavalry, the campaign fell roughly $3.9 million short of the goal. 3.9 million. Short. The wine aunties came down off the wall and said, listen sis, gas is $5 a gallon, eggs are an investment. We love you, but we cannot buy Cardi B another $20,000 belly ring on your behalf. Read the room. Read the receipts. Read the price of a gallon of milk. It got worse. Because right after that very public funding failure, Tasha hit the radio and bragged that paying Cardi back was, and I quote, light work. She went on camera and laughed about the $20,000 a month payments. She let somebody refer to her husband as her CFO and chuckled like it was a punchline instead of a confession. She said the case was meant to drain her financially and that it absolutely did not. She told a story about the bank having only $1,000 left in her account and how she gave that $1,000 away to start somebody's LLC. It was, I will admit, a charming story. It was also, in retrospect, possibly the worst thing she could have said while a federal court was watching, because Cardi heard, I'm not drained, and translated it cleanly into, then I will find what you have. And in a courtroom, your own bragging is admissible. Your own bragging is evidence. Your own bragging is a man-to-man defense against your own asset protection lawyers. Which brings us to the husband. Cheick Ndikibe, who I am told runs an entertainment outfit called Yilin Entertainment, suddenly enters the chat. According to the federal filing, between 2019 and 2023, Tasha's main company, Ndikibe Studios LLC, generated more than $1 million in YouTube revenue alone. By September 2022, that company's revenue, contracts, and operational backbone allegedly transferred wholesale into Yilin Entertainment. No purchase price disclosed. No payment recorded. The original company dissolved. And just like that, on paper, Tasha had no business and no income, and a brand new entity owned by her husband was now collecting all the checks. The lights stayed on. The Bentley stayed parked. The chain stayed shiny. Only the LLC name changed, and apparently the bank account that fed it. Cardi's attorneys are calling that move, in legal language, a fraudulent transfer. In plain English, it's a magic trick. You watch the left hand pour the water, you don't see the right hand swap the cup, and by the time you look back, the table is dry. The filing also alleges that personal income was rerouted through Yeelan's accounts to avoid garnishment. Tasha's name was allegedly stripped from authorized bank access. Direct payments to her were allegedly cut off. In other words, on paper, Tasha is a broke woman married to a millionaire who happens to be holding her bag for safekeeping. That is not asset protection. That is the entire script of a federal fraud case. That is the opening monologue of a criminal docuseries narrated by a man with a very calm voice. And we have not even gotten to the house yet. The house deserves its own paragraph. The house deserves its own movie. Picture this: Lawrenceville, Georgia. A 6-bedroom, 5,000 square foot estate. Backs onto the Collins Hill Golf Course. Renovated. Wraparound everything. The couple bought it in June 2020 for $380,000. By July of this year, it was listed as a rental at $5,000 a month. In March, it went up for sale at $875,000. Then, allegedly, while Cardi was online threatening to take that very house, the property quietly transferred into the husband's name. Sole ownership. One signature away from being legally untouchable. Or so they thought. If you've never seen the play before, here's the play. You sell the house to your spouse. No real money changes hands. On the deed, your name is gone. On reality, you still sleep in the primary bedroom. The hope is that creditors look at the deed, see a name they cannot reach, and walk away. The problem with that hope is that judges have seen this play before. Judges have seen this play so many times they have a name for it, and the name is fraudulent conveyance. And once a court labels a transaction with that phrase, the deed unstitches itself. It is not a wall. It is wallpaper. And Cardi's legal team brought a steamer. Let me say something about Cardi's legal team while we're here, because I think people sleep on this. Those attorneys have been on a tear. They're 8-0 in this saga. They may eventually catch a loss in the unrelated microphone throwing case. That one is its own circus, but on the Tasha K front their batting average is perfect. They know the bankruptcy rules cold. They know the fraudulent transfer statutes cold. They know how to chase money across state lines, across entities, across spouse-shaped firewalls. The new filing is framed as another fraud action, and it asks the court to do 3 things. 1. Recognize Yeelan Entertainment as a legal successor to Ndikibe Studios. 2. Allow Cardi to reach Yeelan's assets to satisfy the judgment. 3. Recover personal income and property that were allegedly moved out of reach. 3 asks. Surgical. Clean. Boring on purpose, because the most devastating legal filings always read like dry cleaning receipts. Now let me get to the part of the through line that I promised you. Because Tasha is not the only celebrity right now allegedly hiding behind a shield. She is just the loudest example. Let me redirect your attention for a second, because over in Psychology TikTok, we have a parallel situation playing out. And I genuinely cannot tell if the people involved are improvising or if there is a shared playbook circulating in some private group chat. Cheyenne Bryant. You know the name. Life coach. Public speaker. Reality television fixture. Recently embroiled in a quiet but loud on the internet scandal about whether her use of the title doctor is, shall we say, academically supported. After the conversation got hot, after the thread started filling up, Cheyenne quietly began folding more theological language into her interviews. More Jeremiah 29 verse 11. More references to plans to prosper. More gentle scripture between every business pivot. It was lovely. It was also strategic. The pivot was so smooth I almost missed it the first time, and I literally do this for a living. Because here is what she did not loudly mention. In April 2025, she received an honorary doctorate from a place called Harvest Christian University Royal School during a ceremony in Dallas, Texas. The same institution has reportedly handed honorary doctorates to Busta Rhymes, Tank, T.I., Tamika Tiny Harris, Dame Dash, Cedric the Entertainer, Carl Thomas, Dave Hollister, Michael Irvin, Ralph Tresvant, Ruben Studdard, Johnny Gill, and posthumously to Bernie Mac and the Notorious B.I.G., which means, technically, Malcolm X and Biggie are alumni of the same graduating class, and I refuse to recover from that sentence in this lifetime. Sit with that. Sit with it. Let it ferment in your spirit. Now, to be very fair, the school does claim accreditation through certain Christian academic associations and a royal accreditation channel tied to the Kingdom of Hawaii, but those are not the same as being a fully accredited doctoral program at, say, Howard or Harvard. An honorary doctorate is a thank you note in cap and gown form. It is a gift. It is not earned through coursework. It does not place anyone clinically qualified to practice psychology in front of vulnerable people. So when Cheyenne now leans into the doctor title in interviews, she is technically not lying about having a doctorate. She is just declining, very firmly, to specify what kind. That is a shield. A paper shield. An honorary, ceremonial, festive paper shield. And the shield is doing exactly what Tasha K's husband is doing on the other side of the country. It is converting a vulnerable position into a defendable one. Compare it to Tank, who received his honorary degree from the same school back in 2021. Tank addressed the criticism directly. Tank said respectfully, "I have been in this music industry for almost 30 years. This honor recognizes the body of work. Do not discredit the process. Respect mine and I will respect yours." That is a clean response. That is an artist owning the gift exactly as a gift. Now, Tank also said there are only about 10 or 13 black musicians in history with honorary doctorates in music, which is sweet but very factually incorrect. Because Aretha Franklin alone has 13 honorary doctorates from places like Princeton, Yale, and Berkeley. Stevie Wonder has 7, Missy Elliott has 2 from Berkeley and Norfolk State, and the list keeps going. The point is, honorary doctorates exist on a wide spectrum. Some are awarded by globally respected research universities. Others are awarded at ceremonies where Malcolm X and Biggie technically share a stage. Both are valid. Neither is a clinical credential. Both are shields if you wave them around the wrong way. You see it now, right? The pattern? Once you see one, you see all of them. The shape repeats. Speaking of shields, let's go visit the kitchen, because Chef Mila is back on the timeline and she has a new strategy that I find genuinely fascinating. Quick refresher for anyone who blacked out for the last 6 months. Chef Mila was at the center of the Stefan Diggs criminal trial. That trial ended a certain way. Stefan Diggs was, according to the most recent updates, not held criminally responsible for the allegations involved. Chef Mila has had complicated feelings about that outcome, and by complicated I mean she has been on social media regularly insinuating that justice did not show up to court that day. She has posted. She has deleted. She has reposted with edits. She has stitched. She has subtweeted. It is a whole genre. But here is the new twist, and this is where my legal thriller alarm goes off. Chef Mila has been publishing screenshots of text messages between herself, Stefan Diggs, and Cardi B's longtime hair braider, Cheick Charles. The screenshots feel emotional, personal, hot with hurt feelings. The captions feel even hotter. She is calling people liars. She is accusing Cheick of testifying falsely on Stefan's behalf. She is referencing money owed, somewhere in the $1,200 to $1,400 range, which depending on whose version you read involves either a Venmo, a Cash App debt, a vacation invoice, or all three. The smaller the dollar figure, the bigger the story it tends to tell. But pull back for a second and look at the shape of what is happening. Read these texts not as a venting friend, but as somebody quietly building a record. Because here's the thing about civil court. The criminal case is over. A criminal case could have sent Stefan Diggs to prison for years. That ship sailed. But a civil case, where the standard of proof is lower and the available remedy is money, is still completely on the table. And what does every civil plaintiff need before they file? They need documented communications. They need witness statements that are inconsistent. They need text threads where a person says something on Monday that contradicts what they said on Friday. They need exactly the kind of receipt Chef Mila keeps trying to manufacture. So when Mila keeps poking at Cheick Charles, asking her to clarify her account, baiting her into a back and forth that produces written admissions, what is actually being built is the spine of a potential civil suit. Stefan Diggs jump off in the moment, sure. Stefan Diggs' future evidence binder, also yes. This is the shield in reverse. Mila does not have a husband to hide assets behind. She does not have an honorary doctorate to hide credentials behind, so she is using a text thread to hide an investigation behind. It looks like a fight. It functions like a deposition. And if I were Cheick Charles, knowing how Cardi B feels about Cardi B Circle, I would block that number, I would gift the $1,200 to the sky, I would never type another word, and I would call my friend the multi-platinum recording artist and say, "Sis, I made a mistake, I need a strategy meeting, and I would like it catered." Once you've gotten up on a witness stand and chosen a side, the side you chose is the only side that gets to call you family. You don't get to text the other side at midnight asking how their day was. That's not loyalty. That's a vulnerability. That is a hole in your story that a sharp lawyer will widen into a doorway during cross-examination. And the question I keep coming back to, the question I want you to drop in the comments, because I am genuinely curious about how y'all feel, is this. When did so many of our public figures decide that the path forward was sideways? When did the strategy stop being do the work and start being find the angle? Because Tasha K's angle is her husband. Cheyenne's angle is the honorary degree. Mila's angle is the screenshot file. They are all angles. They are all sideways. And sideways always looks brilliant until a federal judge gets bored on a Tuesday and decides to read the paperwork carefully. Sideways works in headlines. Sideways folds in trial. Now switch gears with me, because I am not letting you out of this video without addressing what people are saying about Vivica Fox, and yes, this connects too, I promise. Just stay with me. Give me 40 more seconds before you scroll past this section. Vivica Fox sat down for an interview recently and very calmly addressed every single person on the internet who has been picking apart her face. She said, in the most grown woman voice imaginable, that nobody can stop time. That bodies change. That she is a woman of a certain age and she will not be the size she was at 19, and she should not have to be. She said aging is a blessing, that we should give women grace, that staying true to who you are will outlast every comment thread. Now here is why this is the same story. The internet is demanding that Vivica Fox build a shield against time itself. A surgical shield. A Photoshop shield. A please look like 1999 forever shield. And when she politely declines to perform that magic trick, the comment section punishes her for it. Meanwhile, Morgan Freeman has been comfortably looking like a wise oak tree since approximately 1987, and nobody types a syllable about it. The double standard is not subtle. It is industrial. We grant men the dignity of aging, and we revoke that same dignity from women on a frame-by-frame basis. Halle Berry is 60 and stunning. Iman is about to turn 71 and looks like she's auditioning for a perfume commercial set in a Parisian rooftop garden. Vivica Fox is 61 and gorgeous. None of them owe us their 19-year-old face. None of them are obligated to wear a shield made of fillers and ring lights just because we got attached to a memory we don't even hold the rights to. And that is the cleanest version of the entire video right there. Because some shields are chosen, and some shields are forced. Tasha K chose hers. Cheyenne chose hers. Mila is building hers. But the shield demanded of Vivica Fox is one she keeps gracefully refusing to wear, and that refusal is the most honest move in this entire ecosystem. That refusal is what I want more of, from everybody, including from the woman who taped a multi-state tour roasting a federal judgment debtor's name. Comfort with reality is the only durable strategy. Every other strategy expires when the paperwork lands. So let me bring this plane in for a landing. Where does the Cardi B versus Tasha K saga actually go from here, if I were the betting woman that I obviously am? My honest read is that Cardi wins again. I am not clairvoyant. I am not a court. I am not the trier of fact. But if a jury looks at a $1 million revenue stream that allegedly evaporated overnight, then looks at a house that allegedly sold itself to its other owner, then looks at a public radio interview where the defendant laughs about how easy the payments are, that jury is going to reach a conclusion in about an hour and a half, and they are going to come back with both his and her judgments stapled together with a bow. You cannot out-hustle a hustler, and Cardi has been hustling since she was on the Bronx D train asking strangers for their honest opinions on tax returns. And here is the brutal punchline. If Tasha and her husband had wanted this play to work, they had to be smarter at the first move. A symbolic dollar at the LLC transfer. A formal receipt. A quick separation on paper while staying together off paper. The way couples do this every day in white-collar America. None of that happened. According to the filing, the company allegedly transferred for zero. That zero is the loudest number in this entire docket. Zero is what the judge will circle. Zero is what the appellate court will quote. Zero is how this ends. Zero is the word the bailiff hears right before the bench delivers the new judgment amount. Let me also offer a tiny prediction that nobody else is making yet, because that is what you come here for. I would not be shocked, not even a little, if Hennessy Carolina ends up filing her own civil suit before the year closes. Because remember, when Tasha was running her mouth about HIPAA-protected medical records, she eventually admitted those records were not Cardi's. She insinuated, instead, that they might belong to Hennessy. Which is not just messy, that is potentially actionable. Hennessy could, if she wanted to, walk into court with a fresh complaint and the same legal team that has been winning 8-0 and turn this one judgment into a family franchise. Cardi vs. Tasha Part 1. Cardi vs. Cheick Part 2. Hennessy vs. Tasha Part 3. A trilogy. A cinematic universe. The streets would not survive. And one more layer, because I want you to understand how surgical this strategy really is. The federal filing is framed deliberately as fraud, not just collection. That is on purpose. Fraud findings stick to your name in ways simple debt cannot. Fraud findings follow you into future bankruptcy filings and make certain debts non-dischargeable. Fraud findings travel across state lines. Fraud findings can attach to spouses, business partners, and successor companies. Cardi's lawyers did not write, "Give us the money." They wrote, "This entire ecosystem of LLCs and deeds and bank accounts is a costume, and we're asking the court to take the costume off." That is the difference between a creditor and a closer. So drop a comment and tell me which shield is the most dangerous, because I genuinely cannot decide. Is it the husband shield, where you hand a man your assets and trust him to hand them back when the storm passes? Is it the honorary doctorate shield, where a paper title becomes a marketing tool? Is it the text thread shield, where you try to litigate in screenshots? Or is it the silent shield, which honestly might be the only one that ever actually works? Type your answer below. Be specific. I am reading them. I respond to the funny ones. And while you're down there scrolling, if any of this made you smarter, made you laugh, made you yell, or made you immediately text 3 group chats, do me a small favor. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe. Turn the notifications on, because I am following every single one of these stories until the gavel comes down on the last one. We have more federal filings on the way. We have an attorney fee number that will drop within 21 days. We have a possible Hennessy Carolina civil suit waiting in the wings. We have an honorary doctorate roster I want to deep dive next, because somebody needs to ask why Bernie Mac and Biggie are technically class of 25, and the answer cannot be vibes. We have a chef who keeps texting and a hair braider who keeps responding, and I have feelings about both of those decisions. This is your source for the news every other channel was too scared, too lazy, or too polite to connect. Stay tuned. Stay paid. Stay petty in a legally compliant way. I'll see you in the next one. Before I let you go, I owe you one more layer. Because I sat with this story for 2 days, and the more I sat with it, the more I noticed how every single character involved is making the exact same fundamental miscalculation about how the modern internet documents you. Let me explain. Every single one of these celebrities is operating like it is still 2014. Like screenshots fade. Like live streams disappear. Like the Wayback Machine is a rumor. It is not 2014. Every word any of them say is currently being archived by at least 9 different fan accounts, 2 competing gossip channels, 1 rival lawyer's paralegal, and probably some AI scraper sitting in a server farm in Virginia. The receipts are no longer a question. The receipts are a guarantee. And once you understand that the receipts are a guarantee, every shield I just walked you through starts to look less like a strategy and more like wishful thinking dressed up as a plan. Let me also do something I rarely do, which is Steelman the other side for one quick beat, because I want this video to be fair and not just funny. Tasha K is not the first defendant to attempt asset restructuring during a long enforcement window. Wealthy people do versions of this every single day in white shoe law firms in Midtown Manhattan. They use irrevocable trusts. They use offshore entities in Delaware, Wyoming, the Cayman Islands. They use prenups, postnups, holding companies, single-member LLCs, double-blind partnerships, the entire alphabet soup. The reason their version works and Tasha's version is currently being unwound at the federal level is timing, paperwork, and discretion. Real asset protection happens years before the lawsuit, behind closed doors, with documentation that looks boring to the naked eye. What allegedly happened here happened after the verdict, with no real documentation, and with the defendant on multiple podcasts giggling about how light the payments were. That is not asset protection. That is a confession set to music. Now let me give you the timeline I want you to bookmark, because the next 90 days are going to move fast, and I do not want any of you to miss a beat. Within 21 days from the contempt order, Cardi's attorneys file their detailed fee affidavit. The number is going to be eye-watering. I am hearing whispers that suggest 7 figures, because remember, this team has been tracking violations across multiple platforms, and that takes paralegal hours, expert hours, screenshot hours, deposition prep hours, the works. Then Tasha has 14 days to object. Then 28 days after the final number gets approved, the checks are due. Both checks. The one from Tasha and the one from her own lawyer. Mark the dates. Set the calendar reminders. Because when those dates pass and the checks are not in Cardi's hand, what happens next is not a sternly worded letter. It is bench warrants and asset seizures, and the kind of process that does not care how many wine glasses you raise on a live stream. And let me close with this thought, because I think it is the most important thing I am going to say all day. The Shield game does not have to be your game. You can be a public figure and decline to play. You can lose a case and pay the bill and rebuild. You can have a credential and call it exactly what it is. You can have a complicated friendship and end it with grace instead of group chats. You can age and let people watch you age and refuse to apologize for any of it. Every single one of those choices is on the menu. Every single one of those choices ages better than a shield. And the people who pick those choices, the ones who pick honesty over angles, those are the ones still in the conversation 10 years from now. Everybody else becomes a case study somebody like me uses to teach somebody like you how the game actually works. So that is it. That is the whole thing. Cardi versus the husband. The honorary doctorate roster that includes a posthumous Malcolm X and a posthumous Biggie. The chef texting the braider like she is filing exhibits. And Vivica Fox standing in her 61-year-old skin, like the photographs of herself she gets to keep belong only to her. For stories. One pattern. One sentence to remember it by. The shield always looks like protection until the case file gets unsealed. Drop the comment. Hit the bell. I will see you here for the next filing, and I promise you, it is coming sooner than anybody is ready for. Oh, and one more thing, because I almost forgot, and I genuinely cannot believe I almost forgot. Did you catch the moment in that radio interview when Tasha referred to her husband, on the record, as, quote, partly my CFO, unquote? Partly. Not fully. Not honorary. Partly. And then she laughed. And then the host laughed. And then everybody in the studio laughed. And then a federal court clerk somewhere highlighted that exact word in yellow because partly the CFO is exactly the kind of phrase a forensic accountant builds an entire chapter of expert testimony around. You do not get to wave around the title CFO in public when convenient, and then run back into court whispering that the same man is just a private supportive husband when the discovery requests start landing. You pick the label on the radio. You pay for the label in the courtroom. Words are receipts. Especially the funny ones. And listen, I want to be very clear about something so the comment section does not get away from me. I am not rooting against Tasha K as a human being. I am not rooting for anybody to lose their house or their kids' college fund or their family stability. I am rooting for accountability, which is a very different conversation. Accountability is the thing that makes the next person think twice before they air 5 years of fabricated medical allegations on the open internet for monetization. Accountability is the thing that protects the next black woman whose name somebody decides to drag because she has commercial visibility. The verdict in 2022 was not just about Cardi. It was a flare gun. It said, the next time you choose to defame a public figure for clicks, the legal system will arrive. And every time Tasha violated that protective order, she dimmed the flare for everybody else who might one day need it. That is the part that matters more than the dollar figure. Same logic applies to the doctor question. The reason it matters whether Cheyenne is a clinically credentialed psychologist is not because we want to embarrass her. It is because real psychology has gatekeeping for a reason. Vulnerable people in real crisis with real mental health histories are watching these shows and these podcasts and listening for guidance. If the guidance is coming from somebody whose title is an honorary thank you note for ceremonial purposes, the audience deserves to know that. Not as an attack. As informed consent. The internet does not owe anyone the assumption of expertise. The internet owes everyone the right to ask what kind of doctor, exactly, and to receive a clean answer. And the chef and the braider, same logic, scaled down. If you take the witness stand in a criminal trial, your participation has consequences. You cannot then maintain a casual social entanglement with the person you testified for and the person you testified against simultaneously. Because that entanglement creates a vulnerability that a smart civil lawyer will exploit in about 90 seconds. The cleanest version of friendship in 2026, especially proximate to celebrity, is the version where you pick a lane and you live in it. The lane Cheick Charles picked was Cardi. The texts to Mila are a leak in the lane. And Vivica Fox. I just want to say it one more time because it bears repeating. Vivica Fox does not owe the internet anything. Halle Berry does not owe the internet anything. Iman does not owe the internet anything. Aging is a gift we receive in exchange for the alternative, and the alternative is unspeakable. Anybody who wakes up at 60, 61, 71, 80, 90, with their mind intact and their breath in their chest, is winning. We do not get to revoke that. We do not get to demand a refund on a face that has been doing the courageous work of existing in public for 40 years. Touch grass. Drink water. Compliment a woman over 40 today. It will change your week. Alright, that is genuinely the end of the longest video I think I have done in months, and you stuck with me, and I appreciate you for that, because this story had more layers than a wedding cake, and most channels would have given you the top tier and called it a day. Not us. Not on this channel. We dig until we hit something real. That is the deal we have together. One last bonus, because I love you and because I cannot help myself. Pay attention to who shows up in Cardi's corner publicly versus who goes radio silent over the next 2 weeks. Allegiances reveal themselves in enforcement seasons. Watch the unfollows. Watch the soft posts. Watch which podcast suddenly has Tasha booked as a returning guest and which one quietly cancels her. The map of who is willing to sit next to a court-sanctioned contempt defendant on camera is going to tell you exactly who is brave, who is hungry, and who has not had their own attorney read them the fine print yet. I will be charting that map in real time. I will be bringing names. I will be bringing receipts. And I will be back here, same chair, same lighting, the second the next filing drops, because this is not a story that ends, this is a story that compounds, and I am here for every single page of the docket. Talk soon. Be kind to a woman over 50 today. Pay your invoices. And for the love of everything, if a federal court ever tells you to stop talking about somebody, the move is to stop talking about that person. I cannot believe this needs to be said out loud in 2026, but here we are. Peace. P.S. If you read this far, congratulations, you are officially part of the inner circle. Reply to this video with the word shield, and I will know exactly who paid attention to every single layer. The pinned comment will be a running scoreboard of the next 90 days, updated weekly, no exceptions. See you on the docket. The shield game ends when the receipts begin, and the receipts have already begun. That is the level of detail this story deserves. That is the level of detail this story deserves. That is the level of detail this story deserves. That is the level of detail this story deserves. Remember that name when the next filing drops.